I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, September 3rd meeting of the City of Monona Finance and Personnel Committee. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Wood?
Here.
Alder Kitzler?
Here.
Mayor O'Connor?
Here. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the August 19th meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. There are no appearances. There is no unfinished business. Item 6A, new business, consideration of resolution 19-9-2370, approving a bid for the purchase and installation of library carpet put forth by the library director. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve. Second.
Mr. Clearing-Bowl.
Before Ryan gets up there, mind if I
Okay.
handed out a fiscal note, wasn't in the packet because we were waiting on some information.
I don't think that, there.
So basically, this was part of the 2019 capital budget. We budgeted $91,844,000. The bid came in at $67,432. The difference between the budget and what was bid is we still need $24,000 set aside, or $24,412 is left in the budget to hire a company to move the shelves. Like, it's a pretty, I guess, unique thing. So that's the difference, and just wanted everybody to know that there's a fiscal note.
Okay.
All right, as Mark mentioned, this is for a 2019 capital project with the redoing the upper level of the library carpet, the entire level. Excuse me. We received 3 bids of differing values. Topped at $73,303. The lowest was $67,432. That was the bid that we selected. Halverson Flooring. And as Mark also mentioned, that leaves a difference of $24,412 from the original amount. We are currently working with the moving company that we have designated to do that, and they will be working with the carpet company to get started in early December.
So you'll be getting a separate bid for the moving?
Well,
is that the?
It should be under the $25,000
Okay.
threshold, so it should not have to go to bid. That's my understanding.
Questions? Are these carpet squares or rolls of carpet?
A tile is the new thing, I guess.
That's the new name?
Yeah, carpet tile.
So you can replace pieces of it?
Correct. Yep. And it will be the entire upper floor, so that includes staff offices as well. All items, all technology, all furniture has to be up off the ground for it.
Okay.
And we have further plans for the library during that time, but I can talk about that at a later date.
Andrew?
When's the timeline for this?
The hope is for it to start the first week in December, which I believe is the 2nd. It should, the estimated length is about 2 weeks.
Oh.
Good.
Will the library have to be closed any of that time, or?
Well, that's an excellent question. Since it's going to be the entire upper level, and I would like it to be done as fast as possible, rather than trying to have parts of the upper level open during this time. We're going to close off the entire upper level to the public and staff. What we're going to try to do is have kind of a condensed mini library on the lower level. So we will have some new items, or maybe whole pickups in the cafe space. Try to put up 1 or 2 public computers. We'll have the Wi-Fi, of course. We'll have the building itself. We'll have a space for staff, and also the forum room for story time and maybe a program or two during that time.
Okay.
So how long is it going to take if you do it that way?
Still the 2 weeks. Just
Still
because-
2 weeks?
Yeah,
Whoa.
that's the estimated time. They won't know until they kind of get started, but it will. Though I did say we don't want to be up there and they're moving section by section around us. They still have to move section by section, period, because the furniture and the books and the shelving won't be taken out of the building. They'll be pushed to one section of the building while they rip up the carpet, place the new carpet down, wait for that to settle, and then shift all that stuff to that section, rip up that, and keep going around until it finishes. So they estimated at 2 weeks.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or, Joan, do you need a roll call?
This should be a roll call.
You please call the roll.
Alder Kitzler?
Aye.
Alder Wood?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6B, consideration of Resolution 19-9-2371, approving a park shelter lease agreement between the City of Monona and Yahara RFP Phase 1 LLC, put forth by the City Administrator. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move approval.
Second.
Members of the committee, this park lease agreement that's in your packet materials and the corresponding resolution are drafted in correspondence with the development agreement that
Could
the
I,
city.
could I just interrupt for a minute? It's
Yeah.
not actually in our packets.
It's in the
council packet. I
Sorry,
discovered
council
that
packet.
today, so.
Yep, sorry about that. It's in the council packet. This has been drafted in correspondence with section 1.93 of the development agreement, which required us to put together a lease agreement for the space that we're going to be utilizing for the Riverfront Park. This agreement's been drafted in consultation with the city attorney's office and staff recommends city council review and approval of this lease agreement. Take any questions that you might have on the document.
Andrew?
I have a number of which might be a little too detailed, but anyways, so why did we pick May 31st as the start date? Is that when we were able to officially start construction?
That May 31st was about when we were getting close to finishing the document. We had some final tweaks, around the end. That's why it's coming to you now versus earlier in the summer. But I mean, that date kind of doesn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things.
Okay. So I see that we're responsible for snow removal in the common area, so that sidewalk. What was I getting at there? Oh, well, I guess, yeah, so snow removal, that was just interesting. Anyways, so there's one part of it that says we cannot include the sale of food in the document, I believe, probably in or around page 5. I didn't know with the sale of popcorn and the chocolate shop if we need or should make note of that.
We can. We've discussed kind of our plans for the concession area with the landlord, and he's comfortable with what we're proposing. But
Okay.
yeah, we can clarify that.
Where did you think it
Let
said?
me, sorry, I gotta pull it up on the council side. Let me see, I think it's on page 5. There's somewhere that it mentions no sale of food unless otherwise approved.
Do we have anything written?
On page 1,
Sorry.
on it, 107A, permitted uses. Permitted use shall not include any commercial activity except for equipment and sporting goods, rentals and sales of food,
Yeah,
non-alcoholic drinks.
yeah, that's where, sorry.
So that is saying that we can do that.
Yes.
Oh, that we can,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I
just
read that
basically,
wrong.
they wanted to ensure there's exclusivity agreements with Buck and Honey's and some of the other tenants for the services that they provide. We don't want to compete with that, so we'll be providing things that are not those things.
Okay,
So no alcohol. We will likely provide hot chocolate during the skating season, those type of things. But
Okay.
we'll contract likely with True Coffee for those things.
okay, perfect. I saw that we, let's see here, it says on page 3, tenant may not use areas, yada, yada, yada. So no event may have any handbills, flyers, or other promotional material be placed or distributed by or for tenant on the part of the landlord's property outside of the premises. I mean, as my understanding is, we can include it in the shelter and also in the common area, but I didn't know if Jake talked to him about other kind of sandwich boards or different things. I think at one point he had an idea of putting something up in the breezeway, and I don't think that's necessarily our common area, so I just kind of
Yeah.
wanted to point that out.
Nope, yep.
It says that we take care of the fire system monitoring, which seems like more of a landlord thing than it would be ours.
I believe that's the part that's in our space, in the
Yeah.
shell.
Oh, do we normally have air conditioning and heating equipment serviced and maintained quarterly?
No, not in, I mean, this is a newer building, and that's kind of what the landlord was looking for, just to make sure that there are no mechanical failures.
Seems excessive. And then on page 7, it mentions we need $2 million insurance, liability insurance. Does this differ from our other park shelters because of the landlord-tenant position, or do we, I mean, is this gonna be an added cost to the city to add that insurance, or is that just part of general?
We
City
can
insurance.
clarify with Sidnick on that.
That is something we get through CIVMIC?
Yes.
And then page 9, it says transfer of premises, meaning a new owner buys the property, and it mentions that we'd have to work with the new owner to essentially them to agree with this. Can't we require this lease to continue upon transfer of property to a new owner?
There is language in there.
Is
for
there just maybe
signing.
not on the page 9 part?
Yeah, there is assignment language that it is assigned to any other party that would own the property.
Yeah, because on page 9, 4.08, it says all or a portion of the building or landlord's property is sold or transferred voluntarily or involuntarily. Landlord's obligations and liabilities under this lease accruing after the transfer shall be sure the responsibility of the new owner if the new owner or transferees, expressly agrees in writing to assume landlord's obligations. So that sounds to me that the new landlord would have to agree. And then my final question was just on page 16, it says we would pay the attorney's fees. So if they sued us and they were victorious, we would pay. I haven't seen this in that language in any of our other kind of development agreement type situations. So I thought I didn't know if that's usual or.
I've seen that in other development agreements that we've had. We can clarify that.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I have.
Is Attorney Cole, do we know if he's going to be here?
I was under the understanding he would be here because he had court earlier this evening, but I'm not sure.
Maybe he'll be here for council then. Doug, did you have any questions?
No, no, but I think it would be good before we vote on this to get Bill's input on especially the question that Andrew raised about what happens if the building gets sold.
Okay.
Do we want to send it on to council and get his answer there without, or do you want it?
I'm fine with that.
Are you fine with that?
Yeah, we can get it answered for you before the council's second read.
Okay. So how do we word that?
It would just be a motion to approve and move on to city council and ask staff to address the questions listed this evening.
Okay. Joan, you got that?
I'm sorry. There would be a motion to
Oh.
approve contingent upon response.
Staff providing,
Questions raised
yeah, at the next council meeting.
at next council meeting.
Is that okay with the two of you?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, item 6C, report on budget status of fire department paid on premise program. Scott.
Good evening. Going over the paid on premise program. This year, we've had a lot more participation in the program. You can look by the numbers, we've almost doubled on each of them. And whether it be the firefighter positions or the MPO/officer, most of that is the officers' positions.
I'm sorry to interrupt for just a minute, but I saw this earlier today. Where is it in the,
Page 28.
page 28? Oh, okay.
It's the very
All right.
bottom.
It got mixed in with, all I'm looking at is pictures of carpet here. This doesn't seem to be,
Oh, that's the council packet.
oh, that's right, okay. All right, wrong packet. Go on, I'm sorry.
So this program basically gives our firefighters and our personnel a stipend for each 24-hour shift that they stay at the station. Or our officers also keep the car at home, so we have a OIC, an officer in charge. So we give them the money for keeping the cars. They're on duty. They respond to every fire call, every EMS call. So it's those two stipends And we've had more participation. If you look, this goes through 2018 and 2019, at least the first half of 2019. And you can kind of see we've had an increase in the number of calls. And we've also, like I said, had an increase in the number of personnel that are participating in this program. Projected out for this year, it's going to be $32,000. We budgeted $17,000, so we have a shortfall of $15,000. Going through my budget, it looks as if we'll have about a $5,000 excess in our paid on call monies, so we're going to be about $10,000 short on this particular program. So
Are you saying that the people, the officers who take the cars home, are they paid the same amount as the paid on premise people?
yeah, so that's, as of prior to this program, when I was gone, we had nobody in charge, basically.
Right.
Other than if the volunteers, when they were the volunteer officers, if they happen to come to a call. Now they sign up, they're the person in charge for that 24-hour period. A lot of them will take it for the whole weekend. They'll start Friday night and they'll get done Monday morning. And then they have the car, they respond to all the calls, they answer any questions. I'm usually available by phone, but this way we have somebody on scene, able to take command of the situation. So it's worked out well that way. So.
And do they only do that at times you're not available?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. They can only sign up for it when I'm with my normal Monday through Friday. You know. So Friday,
Weekends?
Tuesday nights. Yeah. Tonight, we have trainings on Tuesday nights. We'll have somebody who usually signs up for it overnight. So.
Okay.
But yes, the Monday through Friday when I'm here, they can't sign up for it.
Okay.
So.
Doug?
So the firefighters who are, paid on premise, are they also EMT qualified?
Not all of them, no. We don't have nearly as many as we used to that had the EMT or paramedic. We still do have a few, but not as many as we used to.
Okay. How is this, how close is this getting you to having 3 people there all the time?
It varies depending on their availability, because it's a complete voluntary. They sign up when they want to sign up,
Right.
when they have availability. We do have 3 positions that they can sign up, so we could have 3 people sign up for it. That being said, they may not be qualified or certified to drive the trucks. So it doesn't, even though we may have
Right.
2 people that are signed up, they may just be firefighters that are not certified to drive the truck. And then they either have to, if there is a third person, career person on, they would ride with that third person. If there's not, they wait for a driver to come into the station and then go to the call. Some of the EMS calls, they will take car 2, our pickup truck. Basically, it's kind of a brush truck. It's a fast attack truck. They can take that directly to the scene, but it doesn't give us the firefighting capability that the engine does.
What percentage are driver qualified truck?
I would say about 10%, 10 to 15%. We're sending 3 more people through this fall. We're trying to increase those numbers. The difficulty that we have are the young people that come on. There's enough training and other knowledge that they need to gain before they're driving the trucks. It's the older, the seasoned members, and those are also the ones that are retiring. So, but we do have, I believe, 3 people in pump operator class coming up this fall, and it takes about a year to get somebody capable of, from the time they start the class to where they're ready to take the truck and drive it, because it's not just driving it. It's pumping with the truck. It's using all of the equipment on the truck, the generator on the truck, just in knowing everything about the truck.
Is there
Or
a
the
plan
trucks.
or incentives to build up that
So
number? Three? I mean, if
the
it takes a
difference
year,
is, yeah, so that, a 24-hour shift for a firefighter is $52. A 24-hour shift for a motor pump operator or an officer is $90. So there is an incentive to get that. And
I just meant through like training. I mean, are you putting that in your budget to, I don't know how they're paying for
We-
their training or however that works, but
Oh,
that's what I mean.
that
is
training's
getting
paid
more
for by the
people into
state.
it. Okay.
The certification class is paid for by the state. We pay for the state certification test. I think it's $85. So it's covered within our training budget, so.
Do you have more than one paid on premise person on a shift?
We can, yes, yep. And that, it
Has that
gives,
always been the case?
it give,
You can, but
yes.
do you?
Do you?
some of the time, yes. Some of the time we have two. Very seldom do we have three, but there are 3 shifts. So that gives us basically a full engine, the possibility of having a full engine. 4 people on an engine is considered a full engine.
So even if you have 3 firefighter paramedics on duty,
Right.
you still
They-
have,
Then we would have the possibility of having 3 paid on premise personnel. So that gives you, because one of the paid, the career firefighter paramedics is the driver of the engine. And then there would be the 3 positions paid on premise. The other 2, because you don't know when there's gonna be an ambulance call, you can rely on them when they're here, but we're running 1,500 calls a year with our EMS. And
So are the firefighters able to drive the ambulance? Or they're not, the ones who aren't certified to drive the fire trucks?
some aren't yet. Yep, they go through, it's called emergency vehicle operation class, EVOC, or, trying to think what they change the synonyms every few years just to, sell more books. But we try to train them to get them to where, they can drive the ambulance in case the medics need someone to drive them in with 2 people when they have 2 medics in the back. But we have to have 2 firefighter paramedics on the ambulance
Okay.
at all times.
anything else?
So, yeah, well, I guess this is more for a question for Mark and Brian and yourself, Mayor, is if they're over even using the 5,000, if they still need an amendment of 10, then that will put us in a $10,000 hole starting the 2020 budget. So I guess that's not really a question, just more of an observation.
Yep.
Yeah, would we have to entertain a capital or a operating budget amendment?
Probably should here eventually. I know you put $10,000 in there, but I've seen other accounts that would cover it, so.
So I'm trying to manage it through my current budget, but there's also, at Public Safety, we've talked different ways of funding. We're looking at new ways of funding it that will be coming in front of the council very shortly. So, and
But
hopefully.
we're talking about some way to fund this year's shortfall.
Fund this
right?
year's shortfall, correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But you say you have ideas about how you'll cover it next
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
Okay.
Before, I don't know how much I can say.
It's all
with
been
it.
approved through public safety.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Okay.
there'll be a staff recommendation coming up to council at next council meeting for taking care of the shortfall, or
Right.
taking care of the majority of the shortfall.
Okay. All right.
I think just a general comment. I mean, so I think there was a few months that we've known that this will be over, and any more updates that you can provide us in the future, kind of ahead of, halfway through or that type of thing, I think would be helpful as to, what unique situations make this, increase so much from last year, et cetera. I think it's just helpful. Because I think.
Yeah, we were
we've been
having
talking about it.
Scott come quarterly for a while ago
Right.
No.
Yeah.
to report, and we haven't, but we should, Brian, if you want to make sure that that's on the agenda going forward.
Sorry to make you come
That'd be
before
good.
you.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Final item is the bills.
Do you have time?
Look at these real quickly.
I'll pass this out. This kind of goes with number one. We're just going to be here next meeting. First one's advanced disposal. This one had this, the first one on page of the invoice register. What I sent, as you can see in the advanced disposal, the rebate for what's on the bills is like $1,300. So I just kind of did a graph because this is, I mention this most times when we go over the financials. I just want to show we've been doing it since 2012, and we're through 7 months of 2019, and you can kind of see where the averages are and how much we're not receiving in recyclable revenue. You know, we're almost $1,800, $1,900 from last year per average per month. And we're probably going to, just based on the average, we'll probably be at $26,000 for the year, and we budgeted a little over $50,000, right around $50,000. So this is one we'll have to come back here towards the end of the year and see if the general fund would cover the shortfall in that. It's probably one of our biggest areas of concern we talk about when we go over the financials. So just wanted to let you see how it's been decreasing, was pretty steady for a while, and it's kind of fell off here. Starting end of 18 and 19 for sure, it just dropped on us.
Thank you.
Page 2 of the financials, just going to hit Alex Burleson with the bill, what he's been working on. Just a small note in here, we will have, based on projections there, we'll probably have savings about 20 to 30,000 with the legal bills this year. You know, Brian taking over, saving some money there, so that's will hopefully cover some of these overages. Barns, the storm cleanup, that was the storm that came through. A lot of trees were knocked down. A one-time cost. Page 3, Clearway Productions. It's the Riverfront audio where we talk about buying straight from the vendor. This is one of those purchases. Page 4, so you see a lot of different police departments. I think you're probably well aware of this, but the OWI traffic and street and speed grants. So we administrated, we get the revenue in, and we paid other municipalities for it. So we actually get a fee, a little extra revenue for doing that. So that's where all these police departments are. And I think that's kind of the major ones I kind of want to hit. It's pretty light for this month.
Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Any questions?
Nope.
All in favor of accepting the bills,
I
say aye.
didn't have a motion.
I'll
Oh, I'm
move to
sorry.
accept the bills.
Thank
Second.
you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.